Confusion and uncertainty na something wey we dey experience many times for our lives. But sometimes when we dey experience am, we dey allow fear dey push us into making hasty decisions. It could be the fear of losing face if we are seen to not know. It could be the fear of losing control, of being seen to not be in control. It could even be the fear of being out of alignment. This kind of fear, they get a lot of power when our identity still dey largely tied to, in this case, how smart we are, how like our capacity to manage ourselves and manage other people. So like self-control, but also capacity to manage other people, right? If you have like a firm or you're in that kind of a position. Could be any of those two fears. It could also be the fear of being out of alignment. Not fear, sorry, the tied to this identity. Like when your identity is still tied to, being smart, being able to manage yourself and other people, or being very spiritually aligned or very emotionally aligned. You know, when a big chunk of our life or our self perception is still largely tied to these things, the fear of being out of touch with any of them can sometimes push us into making hasty decisions. But there are times when these things can be necessary, which is why we have an appreciation for them, right? But still, if we have like an over attachment to them, it can also become a problem. I dey often think say one of the superpowers wey dey for this life na how quick and also how comfortable we are with saying I don't know, when and where necessary. You get, being able to do that, it doesn't just take off the pressure to perform, because it makes it lighter when you have like a lot to do and you have a position that you have to fill, right? When you're comfortable sitting in a place of, I don't really know this particular thing what we dey talk about, it takes off the pressure from you. But that's not all it does. It also creates space for you to learn. It allows you to learn. And sometimes even learn from unexpected places. Or sometimes you dey learn things from people where be like say ordinarily they're not even that informed in that subject, like you. But it will surprise you sometimes that you would learn even from people like that in those subjects. So they also make space for you to learn, helps you stay curious and open, and really just creates this like unlimited room, right? Virtually unlimited room for you to potentially grow and advance yourself continuously. It's like the capacity to, or the extent rather, to which you feel grow and expand yourself. They tied to how much you are willing to accept that you don't know. So to the same extent that you are willing to say, I don't know, it is to that same extent that you are able to expand yourself, right? Because when you adopt that stance in a case where you actually do not know, the next line of action is to pay attention and to learn. So you pick up something there, and if you continue like that, before long, you're not going to even recognize yourself because you've learned and learned and you've become an entirely different person. You get, so maybe next time when we they in a situation where they confusing, when we are confused, when we are uncertain, maybe the next time when we did that kind of situation, instead of rushing into a quick decision making from a place of fear, maybe we feel wait instead. Maybe we feel learn to just chill instead. And while we dey wait, we go use the tools where they at our disposal to help get ourselves to a place where we dey more clear. You know, if you are confused and you're stressed, your mind probably feels like a marketplace. So while you're waiting, if you use the tools where they your disposal to get yourself to a place where you're more clear. And then when you're clearer, when you're in a much clearer place, if you can make those life changing decisions. You get, there are times when you may need to make a decision on the spot because it's timely and you may not have time to think through it. In those cases, if you just flip coin and then make a decision. But in other cases, it may help us more to, you know, be patient and just get ourselves to a clearer place before we make any, serious decisions. I feel like this is not something where many of us they actually do for our lives, but we dey do am without actually realizing say we dey do am. Because I believe say many of us know at least one person, if not ourselves, where e be say if the person dey stressed and confused, one of the things wey dem dey do na to go sleep, right? Dem dey leave the matter first, just go sleep, and then when they wake up, they go figure am out, right? They will decide how to proceed with it. So na pretty much the same thing, but it is done unconsciously. So as make I talk about maybe talking about it like this go allow us in the future to begin to see with more structure, right? So next time when we dey use we go dey a bit more conscious as a process. We will see the structure a lot more, and maybe just that small thing will improve the quality of our lives a bit. But yeah, that's not the matter for confusion. My name now is Sas, and I will see you for the next video.